not even summer yet. Or is it? I don't know. So much better than studying. That could be said about a lot of things. That's not very high praise. Oops. So I don't know, that didn't quite come out exactly how I was thinking about it, so we'll see. Maybe I'll try it again tonight when we do our happy hour. It's 100% here in North Cal. Does that mean 100 degrees? I know what I was looking at the weather for the Bounce Festival this weekend, and it's going to be like 95 degrees. Jackie said, taking the higher road is giving the benefit of the doubt, killing others with kindness when they have created a story about you or misled. That's a good one. It is difficult, absolutely, and that's kind of, and part of it is the feeling of being. It's such a visceral, deep pain when you feel like you're being taken advantage of. And I think one of the big benefits of kind of a weekly gathering or more like this is to remember. Wait a minute, it's not that everybody is snickering. Oh, look at him. He's no. That's the voice we don't care about. There's the people we do care, we value their judgments, are the ones that are like, wow, awesome. Good for you. Taking the high road. That's awesome. You've inspired me. And that was what was cool when I was talking with my friend B, that he was bummed out. And I was able to say, dude, I'm inspired. You have inspired me. Thank you. That was a rare I rarely see that degree of demonstration, of taking the high road. So thank you, and which was able for him to go, oh, okay, I'm not a chump. I did good, and then he was able to change his story, and I think that we can do that for one another. Brady, you have daily frustration of certain people. That's a tough one. The high road is a steep climb, but a great view, says Piety. Good one. So, we could... Let's see. You want me to try to do my my TED Talk? If I can try to do it standing. Breckenstein, so glad you were able to make it to the live broadcast as we ramble on now. Where am I? There we go. I'm so warm. Okay. Let's see. Should I do it seated? Should I do it standing? Will it still work? Oh, you can see that I have a poorly fitted let's see if I do that. Almost. The question is, will all this be worth it if I can make it? All right. Okay, this is an experiment. Remember that, okay? This is the Hugmobile. She's a 24-foot Winnebago, Chevy 454, painted pink, with my grandpa's ashes mixed into the wings of the paint job. But the Hugmobile story actually begins about 15 years earlier. I just discovered the web, was blown away by this publishing platform to the world, and decided to put my life online as an artistic statement. My life is art, I thought. You're a cocky bastard, is what other people said. So I got the domain cockybastard.com and built the most grandiose testament to myself as I could possibly do. Yahoo Internet Life said it was the most grand narcissistic use of the net ever. The Webby Awards actually gave me their first ever personal Webby for this monstrosity I created. In the entire world of the internet, I was officially and technically the most self-absorbed person. So I want to talk about how that self-centeredness, that selfishness, actually became and evolved into something good. After the Webby, I started exploring all sorts of other cool things on the internet. Started communities, started websites. Eventually, culminated with me moving into a webcam house. It was a house with 32 cameras in every room, 2 in my bedroom, 2 in my bathroom, 1 in my shower. Seems like a crazy thing to do, but actually, it's not that different than what we all do now with our Foursquare and Facebook, always updating with our food and thoughts. But at the time, yes, it was crazy. And while I was living there, 9/11 happened. And if you remember, after the horror, after the shock, there was this period of hope. The whole world, really, was united in this feeling of like, we can do better. We need a more peaceful world. All of us are together in this hope. And I was more optimistic than I'd ever been in my entire life. Maybe this is the thing that could knock us out of the rut of our experiences, of our habits, to create a new world. But very soon after that, Bush addressed the nation, and he said, get out there and get back to shopping. And the news followed suit, and very quickly the story once again became us versus them. Dangerous, them and us, them, setting the stage for even more conflict. And here I was sitting in this webcam house, intoxicated on this new tool that connected the world, saying, no, the us versus them world doesn't exist anymore. We now have the tools to actually be one-on-one with people all over the world. And if you've ever traveled the world, if you do get an experience one-on-one, no matter how aggressive a country is, the people, one-on-one, will invite you into their homes. They'll serve you food, they'll make you tea. And so I was thinking, how can we use the internet, these webcam tools, to fight the story of us versus them? So we started doing Hug Nation, where we'd get people all over the world at a set time to get in front of their webcams and give themselves a hug. And to remind each other that no matter what we heard on the news, the world would rather hug you than hurt you. And it was a beautiful idea. And it didn't catch on. There's a lot of very interesting and exciting and things on the internet, so I guess it's understandable that a hug would... But we kept doing it, and I kept doing a bunch of other things. Getting more and more crazy, more and more wacky. And eventually, my crazy explorations were saved by an angel. My grandfather. When I went to go see him after my grandfather passed, he was 92 years old. He'd been a retired minister his whole life. Amazing guy. He grew up with Martin Luther King Jr. He'd been a civil rights, gay rights, really just a very loving, centered guy. And so, but this was his partner of 65 years, as well as his driver, and I was thinking, I wonder how he's going to be handling this. So I went to go see him, and I said, hey, Grandpa, how you doing? And he said, did you know that for $4 I can get a shuttle anywhere in the city? And I was like, Grandpa, man, you always help me see the glass is half full. And he leaned back and he looked me in the eyes and he said, it's a beautiful glass. And right then, boom, light bulb. I was like, all of this me, all of this broadcasting and digital things that I've been learning on how to use the web to get me everywhere was so that I could learn the skills so I could hand the microphone to this beautiful old man. So I asked him, would you be my co-host for Hug Nation? So for the next 3 years, every Tuesday we would go to his house, his real retirement village. We would have a meal, go upstairs to his little dorm room, turn on his webcam, and broadcast to the world. I would interview him for a while, he would tell stories, and then we would all hug ourselves. He was so full of gratitude, so happy, that it really didn't matter what he was talking about. We did that for 3 years. Eventually, he was 92, he got 93, and as he went into his 94th year, his body started to kind of fall apart. But we kept doing Hug Nation from the hospital, and I would go visit him there. We'd turn on the webcam, and we would share love and gratitude. And I remember going there one time. He was in bad shape, very weak, and I kind of went and I was like, "Hey, Grandpa, how you doing?" And he said, "The doctors here treat me so good. Modern medicine, it's miraculous." And I was like, "Really? That's your story? You got things stuck in your arms, you can barely speak, your body is falling apart, and your story is that good things are happening." That is a profound, transformative kind of gratitude. That's what Rob Bresney would call pronoia. Pronoia being the opposite of paranoia. It is the belief that the universe is conspiring in your favor. So Grandpa eventually and beautifully did pass on. And people in the Hug Nation community said, "You know what, you should take this energy of Grandpa's on the road." And so bought that 24-foot RV, had it painted pink, had Grandpa's ashes mixed into it, and took it on the road. Went and visited people that were fans of Hug Nation, and then took it to Burning Man to drop off some of my Grandpa's ashes in the temple. My Grandpa had actually given me things every year to bring to the Burning Man. He never went, but he knew that it was my version of his sacred spaces. Now, Burning Man is a hard thing to explain, but there's something that I learned there that was magical and played a big part in making all this selfishness and gratitude all come together. And that is the gifting principle. Gifting, many people often think barter, but that's not it at all. Barter is just like our traditional commerce system, where you exchange equal things and everybody's happy, a little bit happier with what the new thing is than what their old thing is. But the equation is +1 - 1, sum is 0. Gifting, on the other hand, is much more like Christmas morning, when you give something to a child and you see them open it, and they light up +1, and you light up +1. That's +2. And Burning Man is a place where people, the whole city is based on that. My camp, we do a thing where we give out ice cold cucumber water in the desert sun and vegan ice cream. Just give it away, give it away, give it away, just to light people up, just to see their smiles. And people are giving everything away, their talents, their art, everything. And something happens when you practice this gifting. You get tricked into a realization. And that is that other people's joy brings you joy. So this thing we've been taught our whole lives of, if you want to get happier, get more stuff, acquire more, get more status, get, is blown out of the water. Which is so helpful, because when we've got a target zone of 1, it's very hard. How do you make yourself happier? Bigger TV? Smaller phone? 16th pair of shoes? It's hard. But if the target zone is the entire world, you have billions of opportunities to make yourself happier just by making them a little happier. Now, I see what you're saying. You're saying, "Oh, that's great, Pink Boy. How does that work in the real world?" Well, I had the same kind of questions. But at my 20th high school reunion, I ran into an old friend. He'd grown into a really amazing Christian father and family man. And we started talking about our paths, our wildly diverse paths, and realized that we had this huge overlap in the areas of gratitude and gifting. And so we kept the conversation going, realizing that even though our lives were different, our values were the same. And then one day, on the first Saturday, 3 years ago, in February, we just bought a bunch of stuff at the store and went down to Skid Row in the Hugmobile and started handing things away, handing things out. And I knew I would feel better about myself, but what I didn't realize is that I would just feel better. I would feel good. And then we decided, let's just do this every first Saturdays, not because the world needs it, not because we're going to help people, but because selfishly, it feels awesome. And because I am the cocky bastard and I do share everything, I put it on Facebook. And so next month, we had 10 more people join us. And the next month, 10 more people. Now we do it every month. We have about 50 or so people that come. And we do it with that mindset. Not, oh, we need to change the world, we need to fix the world, we need to help these poor people. But from a place of gratitude from what we have and the ability to get happier simply by making someone else a little bit happier, a little bit of joy in their day. That's the only thing that we're trying to do. And something is incredible when you change the paradigm that doing good, being of service, is not something that you do to pay your dues for all your blessings. That's something you should do because you have so much. But it's something you do because it's the easiest way to make yourself happier. It's a selfish service. When you have the gratitude, when you practice gifting, when you allow yourself to feel good about doing these things, it totally changes everything. You are here in this audience, so I'm confident that you know this. You are one of the people that is trying to help and be a better person and make a better world. So if you are doing those things, thank you. And if you want to join us at First Saturdays, come on down. If there's room in the Hugmobile with me and Grandpa, you can ride with us. Thank you. I totally forgot the Crapper Cone story. Other than that, I think I got most things I wanted to say. And then I got to do my slides and things like that. I wonder how long that was.
Lower your camera.
Oh. Oh, you know what? Let me just for timing's sake, I'm going to edit it in just so I can, let me just try something, okay? Now, Grandpa wouldn't have phrased it this way, but being around him with all of that intense gratitude, it taught me what I like to call the Crapper Cone. At every moment in your life, you've got an ice cream cone in your hand, and your other foot is in dog shit. At every moment in your life, you've got aches and pains and work that needs to be done and people that don't like you, weather you don't like. At the same time, exact same time, there are wonderful people. There's music you love. There's food that's delicious. There's the countless functioning things of your body that you are unaware of. And the degree at which you enjoy your life, as Grandpa taught me, is determined by where you place your focus. Are you obsessed about the crap on your shoe, or do you marvel in the ice cream in your hand? And how many of us know somebody that will actually put down their ice cream cone and be like, oh my God, you have got to smell this. Oh my God, this shit is terrible. Now, I'm not saying that you ignore it entirely. It's one thing to sit down with a stick and try to get it out of there, or actually think about where you're going to step so you don't get more shit on your shoe. But I think we have an epidemic of people who simply want to talk about, want to focus on, want to remember and make their world about that shit. People will say, well, you know, you're not facing reality. What? Reality is practically infinite. There's way more amazing things and way more horrible things in the universe for me to... There's an infinite number of things and a finite amount of moments in a human life. So it takes discipline to focus on the cone. Don't let people steer you otherwise. Alright, that was... I'm going to try to snap that back in. It's just for timing versions, trying to see how long things were. Oh, that was 15 minutes right there. So maybe I can do it in 15 minutes. Oh yeah! I did talk fast though. Really? You can't swear on TED Talks? I should check on that. Because I had a bunch of things I was going to say that were swearing. You can swear on TED Talk? Because I'm going to say, this is the motherfucking Hugmobile! Bitches! I don't think crap. I think I said shit during the talk. I also was going to tell the other story of, if you're having trouble figuring out your spiritual path and you're not sure what monastery to go sign up with, another alternative that I would suggest is getting yourself an old RV. Because the first time it breaks down, you're like, fuck! And the second time it breaks down, you're like, fuck! And the third time it breaks down, you're like, fuck! And the fourth time, you're like, fuck! And the fifth time, you're like, and the sixth time, you're like, really? And the seventh time, you're like, and about the 16th or 17th time it breaks down, you're like, I will arrive when I arrive. I am unattached. Om Hugmobile. I think what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to bring dog crap onto stage and throw it at the audience and demand that they pay attention. They said they wanted to be clever and interactive. Ice cream. I should bring brown ice cream so that nobody knows exactly what it is that I'm eating. Wait, is this 2 girls, 1 cone? Damn it. I have a feeling that if I did fling poo, that might be overshadow the message of my talk. All right, so a new plan, but I do need to work on my slides because there's a few things during that story I think that'll be made funnier or more poignant or by images from the things I was talking about. But that's the start of it. The other thing I need to do, and I realize it, I need to anchor deeper the flow, that this is about selfishness, discovering gratitude, gifting, and then finally recognizing that selfishness can be a force of good in the world when you kind of work, when you add these other elements of appreciation and such. My talk is July 14th in San Diego. I think it's being streamed, actually. I'll put when it gets closer, we'll make it clearer. Use images. Well, actually, someone pointed out to me this week that, like, when I say crap or cone, I never actually visualize poo. But they said that they do, and it always is kind of jarring. And I'm like, oh, see, in my mind, it's always conceptual. And I think about an ice cream cone or just dirt on my shoe, but they were like kind of make some gag almost. I'm like, oh, all right, well, that's good to know. Dad's birthday. All right, well, that's we will honor. So, anyone have a dilemma that's going on right now that they want to crowdsource? Man, it is. Whew. So I'm pretty excited. I'm going to the Bounce Festival this weekend. It's the first time I've ever gone to a festival by flying there first. So I'm trying to figure out what I can bring that will fit in an airline in my my luggage. It definitely changes the game a little bit. Oh, wait. Wait, Mark? Is that Mark? Is that Ted Mark that's there? Now I'm gonna regret. Don't. I'm just practicing. I'll get it. It's gonna be good. Don't you worry. Is there anything else that I was gonna share today? Oh, I already mentioned that I am starting to do some coaching. So if that's something that you're interested in, get in touch with me or check out what I have on the johnston.com site. I'm just kind of moving into that area as a possibility. If it works, we'll see. Sorry. Enthusiasm fits in suitcases. Amen. Well, I will bring that. It's supposed to be 95 degrees in the daytime. I guess all I need to bring is, a bikini bottom and wet naps. Thank you, Mark. You've narrowed down my... wait. Keeps popping. I have narrowed down my fears into confidence lacking in some areas. Can you give good tips? Let me see if I can understand that again. I've narrowed down my fears into confidence lacking in. So you lack confidence in certain areas, and it's making you. Well, I guess it depends on what the fear is. Is the fear that, for me, a lot of those, I have those similar fears, and they come from worrying about what other people will think. Even though intellectually I know that's stupid, and I know that I shouldn't care what people think, sometimes I often do. And that's the dilemma that I have to work on, is reminding myself that in my universe view, what somebody else thinks, it happens to have this like direct connection to my brain and makes me feel like I get an actual physical feeling of uncomfortable. But if I can allow that feeling to happen and then look at it and question the thought, it'd be like, wait a minute. Anyone that would judge me on that is nowhere even near the realm of person or perspective that I care about. I had a huge epiphany. I still have a hard time like holding up traffic or holding up people in line. If I'm in line and I'm going to try to use all the ones in my wallet, and then they say that if I can't do it quick enough, I just hand a 20. I'm like, oh, I'll get the change later. Like, I just don't want to hold up the people behind me. I don't know. It's weird. Or like parallel parking, if I have to like put my blinker on and stop the traffic behind me, I can't do that. I get too anxious. And I had this kind of epiphany, like, wait a minute. I actually don't agree with the value system of most of my culture. Most of this world is doing things and making choices and things from a value perspective that doesn't resonate with me. So why on earth would I give one flying F if somebody in that structure of values is bothered by me something that I did? It just makes no sense. It's totally irrational. And I actually, when I could remind myself, wait, if I judge somebody who held me up, I mean, if I'm doing that, I am aware that that's not my highest self. So if they're doing it, why? But anyway, it was this kind of reminder. Okay, once again, the external opinions are a poison. Oops. that is, unfortunately, this is the core decision or choice that we have to make constantly for the rest of our lives, forever, which is choosing to follow our hearts versus our heads, versus the things that we've been taught or whatever. And so we are always going to be faced with that dilemma of what the world is projecting onto us, or what the world has taught us, or what all of those things, versus what we actually feel and what we actually resonate with. And at times it's almost impossible to tell them apart. But that is the path. That is the spiritual path. I mean, there's who we are, who we think of ourselves, is so massively determined by our relationships with other people. When you ask, who am I? Unless you have been doing a lot of self-work, it's almost impossible to answer that question in terms other than how you interact with others. I'm a teacher, I'm a brother, I am a Mets fan. All of these things that we say we are really how the world sees us. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's what, that's a human being. The game of life is all about that. But when we get to a certain point and go, okay, this game isn't as awesome as it's cool, but is this really the game? Then you go, okay, all right, now that's the game. Now who are you? And that's really, really hard, because it's something we've never done. Ever. I mean, as a baby, you immediately start figuring out what a human is and who you are based on how people interact with you. So I want to say, oh, just do this, I would be lying. But sometimes just recognizing that is what's going on, and becoming aware that your thoughts that have come from the outside are what's causing suffering or pain or judgment, are ones that you have control over how tightly you hold on to those beliefs. Because they're not true things. They're simply beliefs. And if they don't serve you, you got to work to challenge them, break them down. Byron Katie is the best teacher I know for that. My dilemma is to accept what I see an imbalance and unfairness. I don't like spending, have less friends, and enjoy a tidy home. So, if I'm understanding that, you struggle because your life is tied with somebody's who makes choices different than yours. So then you have to deal with the consequences of their choices, and that's maddening. Is that accurate? I mean, there is I am in the greatest relationship I've ever been in, and we both know that it would be a disaster if we moved in together. In my spiritual path, I have yet to get to a point where I am at peace with the things that you're talking about, where I can just be whatever choices you make, I will deal with their consequences. Like, oh man, that is hard. But I think there is a few ways to ease that. One of them is recognizing that this person is you are here as a human being, as a human consciousness, to grow and to learn. And the deepest, most significant learning happens in relationships. Not just romantic, but romantic is one of the biggest ones. And so if in your romantic, intimate relationship you're being challenged, that is your biggest opportunity for growth. And until something stops bothering you, it will continue to be a lesson. And even if you left the person you're with because something bothered you about it, you would find that same thing in the next relationship, because that's the lesson that you need to learn until it doesn't bother you anymore. And then it will go away. Until you forget, and then it will come back. Because that's how the classroom of life works. And the thing is, the trap that is easy to get into is to think, man, I would just be so much happier if they would do these things differently. And you even probably communicate very clearly and say, look, hey, it kills me when you don't put away the clothes and they just stay on the ground all week. It becomes like this, and we build the story about why don't they do that? They should know better. It's such a simple thing, and it's an easy way to get caught up into the lie that the way you feel is dependent on the world, and that the circumstances of your life are what matters. Because I think we all know, if we go deep enough, we know it's not the circumstances that matter. And the choice we always have, the only choice we ever have, is how do I feel about this? What am I going to do about this? So if the person that you are married with or live with does something that bothers you, your only real choices are, okay, I mean, you can communicate, and maybe it's something that they will change, but let's call that the wild card, maybe. Because they're going to do what they do. They're going to be who they are. Just because your script of a partner is somebody who picks up the clothes off the ground, guess what? They're going off script. They're going to be whoever they're going to be. And you have to find a way to love that person, even when it's not the person that you want them to be. So you either can go, how can I be okay with this? Or, is this something I can't be okay with? And then it's very empowering. You have the choice. And you can actually, you might say, oh, you know what? Considering all the wonderful things about this person, I'm going to try to learn to love these things that actually irk me or trigger me in some way. Okay, that's how it goes. Or you might say, can't handle it. One of the things that she likes to do is, have sex with entire football teams. And if that's who she is, it's not who I want to be with. Now, hopefully, after you say it out loud, you can go calm down and be like, okay, good for me. I'm making this choice. She's a perfect her. It's not a perfect match with me. All right. We can lovingly wish each other well. Now, that's easier said than done, as is most things. But I'm not sure if any of that was helpful. Oh, it is an open relationship, really? Well, you want to message me her number? Just kidding. Kidding, of course. I like the man my girl forces me to be. Without her pointing things out, I would be a mess. Okay, that's awesome. Okay, so that's the wild card good thing, which is that, and hopefully you have that kind of relationship. And this is where I think when people say the work of a relationship, the bad kind of work is like dealing with things you hate. The good part of work is saying, how can I use her feedback, his feelings, as a way to keep getting in touch with my better self? This is my teacher. Now if you kind of have to love them or respect their opinions enough to think that their feedback is something that you value. I've actually just been watching this Tony Robbins series on relationships with B, and the guy is awesome, actually. And it can be a really interesting exercise to listen to either Tony Robbins or someone like David Deida, is that his name? Who go deeper into male-female roles and how the dynamics of that work. I actually come from a background a little bit too steeped in feminism, and independence, and so I lean towards, look, I'm an individual, I will allow you to be an individual, and that is a romantic, chivalrous thing to do. But I'm starting to learn more and more that the polarity and allowing one another to need each other is actually an important part of keeping passion alive and keeping, because when you have that, then the other person is somebody that you want to please, as opposed to just an independent nation that you are civil with. I absolutely can be I think you can be too steeped in feminism in the sense that it can be tempting to think that a feminist guy has to treat a woman, or a feminist woman has to be this strong, masculine, role. And I think that was the initial feminist kind of movement, was very much like that. And I think that it did some disservice to interpersonal relations, because you start to there's a reason why there's a dynamic in relationships. I mean, even in same-sex relationships, they're usually not people who are exactly the same. There's often a masculine, feminine energy, and the masculine, feminine energy in a relationship doesn't necessarily go in line with male-female. It just means that there is more of a yin and yang, so that you can depend on one another and have a flow of energy. And so that's what I mean by being too feminist. You lose that dynamic if the man is trying to reduce his masculinity too much, and the woman is trying to increase her masculinity too much. Tony Robbins link. I don't know Beat got like this whole massive series, like the Edge series. So I don't know. But I think he has a lot of things online. I would search YouTube and see if there's anything on Tony Robbins and relationships. Look at that. It's 2:10. It's practically tomorrow. Woo! Well, I'm going to be back here in 4 hours at happy hour. And I just want to say thanks for being here today. Thanks for walking your high road. Question of the day. Let me see if there's any more that are there that I can share, just in case. Because the ones we shared before the broadcast were really good. In fact, I'd say they were much better than what I talked about today. So maybe the archive will be a link. Okay, no new ones posted that I can see, but if you want to add your definition of what the high road is, facebook.com/HugNation. And thank you for adding your energy and being here and being a part of this dialogue. I mean, the dialogue and the conversation, and just even if you're not in chat and you're just hearing, just the opening your head a little bit to the vibration of love, of compassion, of growth, and even questioning the things that are just part of the status quo. I mean, just spending a few minutes a week on that can be transformative, as it seeps into all parts of your life and how you interact with people. And the high road becomes then its own reward. You start to just go, oh, I'm being judged by this person over there. They're playing a game I don't care about. Thank you, High Road, and my reminders from the Hug Nation family. So thank you, High Road and Hug Nation family, for the reminders. I love you. I will maybe see you at 6 if you're back. Otherwise, maybe see some people at the Boom Festival. And otherwise, next Tuesday. Have an amazing week. See you soon.